So first, why the cautionary don't do it advice? Where does this come from? Well, the reason that we often see advice against sit-ups and crunches for diastasis recti is that in order for a crunch or a sit-up to be a beneficial move for the abdominal muscles, and it can be, I'll come on to that, in order for it to be a fully effective exercise, the abdominal muscles, the deep core, needs to be correctly engaged, recruited, the muscles working, functioning correctly. Now, if they're not, what will happen when you perform that action, that technique of a sit-up or a crunch, is that intra-abdominal pressure is massively increased, pushing away on the abdominal muscles, on the gap, the diastasis recti gap, and also potentially down, pushing away into your pelvic floor. Now, neither of these are directions we want excessive pressure pushing when we're dealing with pelvic floor issues or diastasis recti. What also often happens during a sit-up is you might hold your breath, so you get a kind of Valsalva maneuver effect, again massively increasing pressure. Now, what that can have the effect of doing is effectively widening the gap and actually making worse your core or your pelvic floor that you're actively trying to improve. How do you know if you're not doing it right, as it were? Well, signs to look for, red flags that we often talk about, are if you feel or see any kind of bulging or pushing out, either around the abdominals or the pelvic floor when you're performing the move, when you're exercising. So if things are pushing away, protruding, bearing down, if you're feeling any of that when you're doing a sit-up or a crunch, then it's not a good move to be doing. And this is why you'll often see this cautionary don't do it advice, because the way that these moves are very often executed, especially without sort of careful supervision, especially at first, then there is a possibility that they could be making a situation, pelvic floor weakness, diastasis recti, worse. That's why you often see generic advice advising against.